President Biden pissed off both Democrats and Republicans this week by announcing his new student loan package. Democrats said it didn't go far enough. Republicans said that it went too far. What's my opinion? Not going to talk about that because my opinion doesn't matter. What I am going to talk about today is what the actual plan looks like and how it's going to affect you if you have student loans. Most people are talking about forgiveness, either $10,000 or $20,000 based on your tax status, based on whether you receive Pell Grants while you're in school. That's great. That's going to affect quite a few borrowers, most borrowers. And when you look at the average borrowing, it's about $26,000, $27,000 for every average college graduate that took out loans. That's a big percentage of their loans. So that's a big deal. The next part is student loan payments are going to start again. We haven't had student loan payments since 2020, but they're coming back. Starting on January 1st of next year, you'll be required to make payments again. And what I think is really not talked about enough, and it's really the biggest part of this, is lower payments. In the past, if you used a income-based repayment plan like Pay, Repay, IBR, ICR, one of those plans, your payments were generally capped at 10% of your discretionary income. That's changing. Now it's going to drop down to 5% of your discretionary income. Here in a second, I'll go through what that math looks like, but suffice it to say, that's going to be a big deal for a lot of borrowers. So let's talk an action plan. First up, for forgiveness. $10,000 or $20,000, like we already talked about. They haven't really said yet how that's going to work, but stay in a holding pattern on that one for now. One of the questions I've gotten though is, what if you paid off your loans over the last 2 years? And that's where there's a really cool thing that you can do. You can actually go back into 2020 and have your loan payments refunded. So if you go back and say, I've paid $6,000 towards my loans over the last 2 years, $10,000 towards your loans over the last 2 years, most likely you're going to be able to have that money refunded and then have the existing debt, that up to $10,000, forgiven. So this could be a way to put money back into your pocket. Payments begin January 1st. So what you want to do here is one of two things. First, make sure that your budget is ready to begin payments again. Because if you've not made payments for 2 years and you've been putting that money elsewhere, you want to make sure you have it ready when it's time. The other thing is, if you do have extra income in your budget right now, keep paying that. And actually pay as much as you can before January 1st, because anything you pay right now is going to go directly towards principal as opposed to going towards interest and principal. So here are the really big deal changes that I see. And that's the income-based repayment plans. If you have a job that required a graduate degree, that you have high student loan debt, and you still have a high income, you're probably on an IBR payment plan, whether that's Repay or Pay. You might be looking at PSLF and trying to get forgiveness within 10 years. Or maybe you're going after the 20-year or 25-year forgiveness under Repay. This is going to change all of that. So what it's going to do, top line number is it's going to change the basis of your monthly payment from 10% of your discretionary income to 5%. So first off, that's going to cut your payment in half. That's a big deal. You might be thinking, is that going to cover my interest? And the answer is probably not. People already were having their student loans accumulating before this happened. So what's going to happen now is any unpaid interest, as long as you continue to make that 5% payment, is basically going to be subsidized by the government. That's a big deal. The other thing that's going to happen, and this is also a big deal, is that the definition of discretionary income is also going to change. In the past, you would take your AGI, subtract out your non-discretionary income based on your house size. Whatever was left over was your discretionary income. And they would take 10% of that to figure out your monthly payment. Now they're actually increasing the amount for non-discretionary income to 225% of the federal poverty guidelines. That's going to mean there's going to be more money left in your pocket and less money going towards loans. So let's put a face on this. Say you were a newly graduated nurse. You took a job making $55,000 a year, making good money. You're single. You live in the lower 48 states. You're not married. You don't have kids. You don't have to worry about that right now. So if you were paying off your student loans on a 10-year repayment plan, your payment will be $283 a month. Fair enough. If you're under Repay, which probably wouldn't make sense for you, but you're basically basing your payment on your $55,000 income, your payment would be $308 per month. And then the big change is, under President Biden's new proposal, your payment would be $102 a month. That's a big difference. If you're saving up to $175 a month, that's a big deal.